And so I would say to the younger woman to go ahead and start building muscle now. Build muscle, and that way, when you get into your midlife, you're not contending for it anymore. You're not trying to get something that wasn't there. It's harder to build in those latter years. So go ahead and get that foundation of strength. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Honeycast. Today, I am talking to my younger self. I'm talking to the younger population, the pre-perimenopause people, the ladies in their late 30s, ladies in their 40s, and even maybe at the start of perimenopause. And this could also be for my daughters. I have two daughters, 21 and 20, and my advice to them is much different than what I did myself as a 20-year-old, as a 30-year-old. And so I want to share some wisdom. I was actually talking with Pearl and Serene the other day. I got to do a live with them in the Facebook group, which was super fun. We were talking about how things have changed, what things have stayed the same with Trim Healthy, what things have evolved, and the couple of things that we would have wished that we would have known or done maybe a little bit earlier, like late 30s or 40s, or even, like I said, in perimenopause. The first one is to start getting educated about midlife years. Don't wait until they're upon you to start researching and reading books and listening to podcasts. This is so important. Think about it. When we're pregnant, we're getting ready to have our first baby. How much research do you do? How much research went into that? Any transition in our life, we usually are getting prepared for, especially in the reproductive years. But we're not really taught what's going to happen in midlife and after. And I honestly wasn't even thinking about it. So I guess the first thing that I want to say is let it be on your radar. What you're doing today is going to create a foundation for your future. So hormone replacement therapy, I would start researching this early on. There are lots of thoughts and myths about hormone replacement therapy. And I'm just going to bust a myth here. Hormone replacement therapy does not cause cancer. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy does not cause cancer. There are synthetic hormones, such as progesterone, that have been shown to increase the risk of cancer. There are people that are at risk of increased risk of cancer because of underlying issues that may not be able to take hormone replacement therapy, but that's a very small percentage of people. And so I would start getting educated on hormone replacement therapy. And a great place to start would be a book called Estrogen Matters. This is a great book that is bringing the science, the newer science in the last 15, 20 years, really debunking myths and also shedding light on what estrogen does for us and progesterone and testosterone, but mainly estrogen. It also is helping us understand who might be a good candidate for that. But the best place to start with, if you are a good candidate or not, or when, would be to find a functional practitioner or an integrative practitioner that specializes in hormones. A lot of the OBGYNs today, they just haven't been trained in midlife menopause hormone replacement therapy. And so the best place to go is to find someone that really knows what they're doing. And that can be tricky, but there are many more people that are helpful and popping up out there that are focusing and getting trained on hormone replacement therapy. Why start early? Science shows that it's better to start early than later, even though it's not too late to start later on, but it's better to start earlier. And one of the main benefits of hormone replacement therapy is to help that transition from perimenopause to menopause and postmenopause that can be very rocky. It can be having lots of really low quality living, depression, hot flashes, night sweats, low level anxiety, lack of sleep. There's 3 pages of symptoms that we could talk about. And it's not only to mitigate symptoms, it is helpful for that, but hormone replacement therapy can be protective as well. When you are going into perimenopause, it can be helpful talk to your practitioner about using progesterone, talking to your practitioner if you are a candidate for estrogen, taking a look at where those hormones are. Now, in perimenopause, it's going to be all over the place. Testing isn't always very helpful in perimenopause because one day your estrogen can be lower, the next day it can be higher. It's very unpredictable because there is a transition going on. Once you hit menopause, the hormones are gone, and there is nothing you can do to get those hormones back except for replacing them. And as we hit postmenopause, estrogen becomes more protective than anything else. It's going to protect your heart. It's going to protect your brain and your bones. It's going to protect your breast. Progesterone is your feel-good hormone, and that can help you with sleep. It can also help you with just overall feeling good, feeling kind of like yourself. Testosterone is your get stuff done hormone. It's your motivation. It's your libido. And all of these, when they're optimized, you can feel and have a fantastic menopause transition. Now, some of you might be past that, and it's, in my opinion, not too late to talk to a practitioner, even in your late 60s and 70s, regarding hormone replacement therapy. But in talking to the younger woman or the woman in perimenopause, I would start getting educated before you hit that transition time. The other thing is weight training. Don't wait until you're in midlife to start weight training. As a personal trainer, I have been doing weight training since I was 20 years old, and I'm very happy that I focused on that. But there were a lot of years that I did focus more on cardio, lots of cardio, too much cardio. And when I hit menopause, the level of training and the type of weight training really needed to change. And so I would say to the younger woman to go ahead and start building muscle now. Build muscle, and that way when you get into your midlife, you're not contending for it anymore. You're not trying to get something that wasn't there. It's harder to build in those latter years. So go ahead and get that foundation of strength. And then when you go into that midlife season, you may have to do things a little differently, such as have more recovery between your weightlifting days, and you may need to lift heavier. But the main thing is that you're not waiting until you already have bone deterioration and muscle deterioration, which is called sarcopenia. We don't want to wait until we've lost something to start building. So instead of focusing on cardio, I want you to think about weight training. Weight training needs to be a priority. And looking back, I'm very glad that I made it a priority. Next is protein. This is one thing that has really been a game changer for me in the last maybe year and a half. Even though I have been on the Trim Healthy plan and it's protein anchors every meal, I never really thought about how much protein I was consuming. And with my activity level and also declining hormones and age, my body, the menopausal woman, actually needs more protein. Because we are in an anabolic state already, we aren't synthesizing all the protein that we consume, and we need a little bit more to be able to get what we need for muscle building, muscle recovery, protein synthesis, all the things that are going to help us build muscle. And also, it's not just about building muscle, it's about making sure that we're supporting our metabolism. The protein is also helpful for reducing cravings. It's very helpful for insulin sensitivity or insulin regulation. It's huge for insulin regulation, as is muscle. Having more muscle will help you be more insulin sensitive. And that's another thing that's happening in perimenopause and postmenopause is that we're becoming more insulin resistant. And that is where we're seeing the increased belly fat, the stubborn belly fat, the stubborn weight, and the wacky blood sugar numbers, and doing everything that you're trying to do and not losing weight. It is that insulin sensitivity that we are looking to keep. And the way to do that is to feed your muscle with protein. And so while I was getting some protein, I wasn't getting adequate protein. And it wasn't until that piece of the puzzle came in that I was able to build muscle, maintain muscle, become more lean, get rid of some body fat, and deal with cravings and blood sugar. Blood sugar regulation has been huge. So adequate protein is key in your 20s all the way up until your hundreds. And like I said, when you're younger, you don't need as much as when you're in menopause. So in menopause, we're looking at around 25 to 30 grams of protein 4 times a day. That's breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. That protein needs to be a complete protein, and we get that from animal protein. We can also get protein from supplements, and we can get plant proteins, and all of those are important. It is important that we get a variety of protein. We're not just focusing on one type of protein. We need our plant proteins to help flush our fat cells, to help our bodies absorb and metabolize protein. We actually need those plant proteins in the plants to do that. We also need the animal protein. We need the leucine that's in there. And the other types of proteins are just supplemental, but they are so helpful, especially if you're low on your protein score throughout the day. So I'm loving using the optimized whey protein powder, the collagen, and the essential amino acids. All of those are optimized, which means they have all of the essential amino acids. They have everything we need. We're feeding our muscle. I'm giving my muscle protein every 3.5 to 4 hours, which is, your body loves that. It's going to regulate blood sugar better. It's going to regulate cravings. It's going to feed that muscle, and muscle is going to aid in your metabolism. It's going to help you become a burner instead of a fat storer. So we really want to focus on that protein. And lastly, I would say to the younger woman to go ahead and start focusing on some of those lifestyle factors that kind of seem boring or aren't needle movers. I know for me, my drive was always to be in shape, be strong, be at goal weight. And I didn't necessarily care that much about all the pieces of the puzzle then. Back then, it was more like probably the eating and the exercise. That's mainly what I focused on. I was not taking a look at learning how to deal with stress, which led me to adrenal fatigue. I was not looking at everyday movement, which is more of a mental health break for me when I'm going on my walks and I'm getting my movement in. Because one thing that happens, and back then, especially having 9 kids and running around, I really did get my everyday movement in. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And when my estrogen walked out the door, my energy levels really went down. And estrogen is really helpful for your energy levels. It's helpful for muscle building. And so I became a little bit more sedentary, and I really had to think, okay, how can I get my everyday movement in? And so the everyday movement, and then sleep. Don't wait until you can't sleep to work on sleep, you guys. Get a healthy sleep routine. Get your circadian rhythm going early on by things like at night, turn off the blue lights, turn the lights down low. When the lights are low and you don't have that blue light, your pineal gland will start making the melatonin. And then when you get up in the morning, look at the light. Get outside first thing if you can. Even deep breathing can help. Get you a sleep routine. Work on getting the sleep that you need. If you're burning the candle, both ends, if you're up late at night and because you're so busy, you have so many things going on, just think about how that's going to affect you when you get to the point where you're not superwoman anymore. Start thinking about these lifestyle factors ahead of time and work on getting some of these things in place. When you do that, you are working with a whole piece of the puzzle as opposed to just focusing on the scale or dieting or trying just to hit a certain goal that's related to maybe how you feel in your body or how your clothes fit or how you look in the mirror. Yes, that is important. However, when you get into menopause, what you put in your mouth and how you move your body is a small piece of getting where you want to be on the scale, getting where you want to be in your how you feel in your body. As a matter of fact, there are a lot more moving pieces, and what you can do early on, you cannot do in menopause and at work. I talk to so many ladies and they're like, I used to be able to do this and get this result. And it just doesn't happen anymore because we've got hormones going on. We've got metabolism declining. We've got declining hormones. We have got so many other things going on besides the calories in, calories out. And so, yes, it is important to take a look at that. But this advice to the late 30, the 40, even the mid 40 would be, I think, something to consider. And look to see which one of these things do you want to start working on first. If you're not doing the weight training, I would do weight training. You can start doing some investigation with hormone replacement therapy. definitely you can do something about the protein. At first, it is difficult to try to get in the amount of protein that's recommended, but it's just like anything else that you do. We're under proteinized. And so to us, it feels like, oh my gosh, that's so much protein, when it's actually not. It's adequate protein. We need adequate protein. So hopefully this is helpful for you. I like speaking to the younger version of me. I like speaking to the younger version of women going, let's do it this way. Do not come the way that I did. Do not fall into the pitfalls. Do not wait on these things. Let's go ahead and take a look at these things now and see how you can create a foundation for your midlife and beyond.